Hello and welcome. I'm Rick Cates. Dr. Bird and I put together a short photo story presentation for you entitled The Asylum. Understanding the history of American asylums can benefit you in a number of ways. For example, from a business perspective, knowing how and why these facilities were funded could help you, or look at the supply and demand of allocating resources. Or it can help you from a political science perspective, analyzing the changing role of public administrators and the laws that govern these institutions. Or from a public health perspective, by analyzing the populations these institutions served or the level of care they provided. Let's take a look at the origins of hospital and long-term care facilities in America. Starting with the workhouse. The workhouse is an institutional form of poor relief. The workhouse represented a ruthless attempt to deal with a problem as old as society itself. The word that comes to mind is pauperism. Pauperism, or the state of needing to be supported by the rest of society. Workhouses were the predecessors of many American institutions, to include mental asylums, hospitals, orphanages, poorhouses, county houses, nursing homes, and even prisons. Originally, care of the poor and the sick was provided by family and friends, usually in a farm setting where several generations lived together. But as towns and cities grew, and the U.S. became more industrialized and immigration increased, the country saw the number of people needing care increase proportionally. The safety net of having a large family to fall back on for help was no longer there. This shift left many people out in the cold without adequate health care. This included the elderly, the homeless, the unemployed, the underemployed, the mentally ill, the orphan children, or infants. Many of these people were boarded out to neighbors. In the 19th century, American institutions became places of first resort, the preferred solution to problems of poverty, crime, delinquency, homelessness, and insanity. This quote you'll see quite often in textbooks, and you'll hear Dr. Bird make mention of it when he's given his lectures. But by the beginning of the 19th century, institutions were created for long-term care in the form of asylums, usually called hospitals or workhouses. Many of these institutions from the very beginning were very sinister and cruel places to be in. Workhouses were intended for the repression of the very sick, the poor, the insane, the disabled persons, and designed to deter all but the worst off from seeking refuge there. The term workhouse test refers to a deterrent intent of workhouses to only get those with no other option to choose from to come to these workhouses. Many would rather die than to go there. Individuals would lose all sense of identity. They would become a number, simply a number written at the end of a bed. The punitive treatment of the poor and the homeless began in England with the Elizabethan Poor Laws in 1603. Dr. Bird provided a quote from a gentleman named Trott that was written in 1736, and it says, "South Carolina laws copied many parts of the Elizabethan law, requiring not only that the assistance be denied to common night walkers, pilferers, lewd and lascivious persons, but also to punish them by putting fetters or shackles upon them, and by whipping them not to exceed 19 stripes in one day, and to abridge them of their food." In colonial America, workhouses, hospitals, and long-term care facilities started to be combined under a single institution. And that single institution was run by parish officers. And in many cases, they were obligated to take the very poor. But those that had money and the finances available to them, if they wanted to put someone into one of these institutions, they charged extravagant prices. In the lecture, Dr. Bird will talk a little bit more about the regulations and some of the changes that took place during this same time frame. While hospitals were overcoming the stigma associated with their cruel and sinister origins, to a large extent, long-term facilities were not. And again, many would rather die than go there. Here's another description that Dr. Bird found from 1739, and it's from the St. Philip's account book. And it describes the hospital as, it said it was very crowded on the first floor of the new hospital. It housed the insane, the fugitive slaves, and the indentured servants, deserting soldiers and sailors, and the criminals. The description goes on to say that at the end of the first year, there were 9 residents on the crowded second floor, including a lame and foolish young man, a man with dropsy, a very old woman, a lame man always in bed, and a lame Dutch woman. For many individuals that entered these institutions early on, this was the end. And as that original quote says, many would rather die than go there. We hope this photo story gives you a little empathy for what these patients had to go through. And also, we hope it provides you some talking points that you can use during the lecture. Thanks.